Why review 9 to 5? Uh, there's no good reason to in many ways. I mean, there's why watch 9 to 5, right? I mean, I don't. I'm lost. Listen, when if you're going to do a retrospective and you're going to, so there's a movie called Paper Moon. Okay, when I started the retrospective, I tried to pick movies that I'd watch so that years down the road, if the movie came up, I could go, yeah, I have seen that movie, and not just be able to say it, but recall it. And one of the movies I didn't watch in this retrospective already a few years ago was Paper Moon. Had never heard of it, but it kind of fit into the scheme because it was a highly rated movie and everything. And wouldn't you know it, I didn't watch it, and now I see references to Paper Moon all the time. And I'm probably never going to get around to watching it because that's the another point of the retrospective is I making time for these movies in an orderly fashion um, is kind of what I'm doing. So maybe I'll see it one day. Who knows? But anyway, all right. So in 9 to 5, what you have here is a kind of a little bit of an oddity in that it's really well edited. And so like you're never bored in this movie. Like the pacing is really good. But this movie is not a movie for adults. It's not a movie for anyone who likes humor. Its editing, like I said, is so good, but the problem is that it just how to how to describe it. It's like if a high schooler wrote a movie or a play and they adapted it into a movie. And the high schooler's writing about work relations between males and females with a patriarchal power structure. All right, it's that juvenile. It is a juvenile, unfunny movie. Lots of oopsies and slips and falls. The way I said that, oopsies and slips and falls. And then the main villain, the guy who plays the main villain, I forgot his name, actor's name. He's excellent. He always plays a great villain. And then if he plays a comedic villain, he's even better at that. In fact, he was in You've Got Mail, and he played one of the main villains in that, and he was great in it. So now I'm going to compare this to a movie. I'm going to compare 9 and 5 to a movie, but not in terms of quality, okay? Rather, I'm comparing it in terms of what they're attempting to do. The movie Clerks is a fantasy film, not in the genre of fantasy. It's fantasizing about what if clerks at convenience stores could treat customers any way they wanted. That they could say the things that are actually on their mind, treat people the way they really want to treat them. That's kind of what was kind of the selling point of Clerks when I was young. Like that's why people wanted to see it. It was a good pitch. I think that pitch put Kevin Smith on the map because it was kind of like, oh, that's interesting. I'm curious. It was made by somebody who was actually a clerk, and this is how they see customers. And I was like, yeah, that made you want to watch it. Now, is that exactly what Clerks is? Well, not really. Clerks has got its own story and everything, but that was a great pitch to make you see the movie. 9 to 5 is a fantasy film. It's fantasizing about what if women in the workplace. So you don't turn the video off yet. All right, I don't turn it off yet. Well, you'd probably be wise too, but you can see where this is going, right? How would they treat an evil male boss? I mean, how are they getting? Look, it is not a representational film. Now, let me explain what I mean by that. I'm going to go into this in more detail one day, but one of the dumbest things about modern filmmaking, about contemporary filmmaking now, like what people do in films now, is they have bought wholesale this idea that if you put a woman in your movie, she represents all women. If you put a white male in your movie, represents all white males. Go watch Star Wars Episode 7. And notice the Empire. They're all white males and they're all stupid and incompetent. And it's completely non threatening. Well, they represent all white males. So 9 to 5 isn't guilty of that. That's not what this. They're smarter than people today, and yet still, this movie is about the dumbest movie you'll ever watch. It was really stupid. Um, I thought it was going to be a chick flick. It wasn't exactly that. I can't say that, but I will say, for points for being Christian and thinking critically and all that, I will say this, in terms of representation. Remember that this falls into hermeneutical bias, okay, that people have now, where they're being told how, when you do a project and you put a female in your project, you must cater to anyone that will reinterpret for you why you put a female there. And it's an intimidation and bullying tactic, and filmmakers are too cowardly to stand up to it. And that's really what it boils down to. They would rather make something stupid that doesn't make sense and kowtow to people rather than calling them out and say, I get to decide for myself whether my characters are. David Lynch did that. They were, in fact, I remember them talking about one of his movies and saying, why do you have women treated this way? He goes, well, you have to see them as characters. And they don't question them. And same thing, Mike Pondsmith, who the big game came out not too long ago, Cyberpunk 2077. They were criticizing him, and he got angry, and he said, I get to decide who my characters are, not you. And that's what we need. We need people who are willing to go out there and say, no, 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 no. You don't get to decide for me what my meaning is. I get to decide for me what my meaning is. I went on a big rant here for 9 to 5 because I like to think about things, and unfortunately, there's just not as much time to. The whole point of doing these movie reviews is kind of for the same reasons why I'm doing the Versus series that I'm doing with Unbelievable, The Big Conversation. It's just an opportunity to offer things to teach rather than just categorizing what I'm teaching, okay? 9 to 5, 2 stars again, only because the pacing, you wouldn't be bored if you saw it. Would you be entertained, though? I don't think so. I wouldn't call the movie entertaining. I would just call it not boring.